My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me now and we will explore these topics and so much more with fascinating guests, authors, and experts who will guide us to Destination Unlimited. This week on Destination Unlimited, I present part 2 of my fascinating interview with Tamara Caulder Richardson. Tamara will discuss what it means to be a starseed and a galactic being. She is a 6-time near-death experiencer and evidential psychic medium known as the Southern Bell Medium. She is also a trance and conscious channeler of ascended masters. Tamara is the host and producer of the popular YouTube Seeking Heaven channel and founder of the Academy of Divine Wisdom. Her websites include southernbellmedium.com, academyofdivinewisdom.com, and christacademyoflove.com. She joins me this week to share her experience as a starseed. Please join me in welcoming back to Destination Unlimited, Tamara Caulder Richardson. Welcome back, Tamara.
Oh, I'm so excited to be back, Victor. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Tamara, in part 1 of our interview back in March, we discussed that you're an international evidential medium and angelic starseed messenger, a Christ and ultra-dimensional channeler, an author, a 6-time near-death experiencer, afterlife speaker, multiple spiritually transformative experiencer, and producer and host of the YouTube Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience and Other Phenomenon channel, and director of the Academy of Divine Wisdom Ascension School. Before we talk about starseeds and galactic consciousness, please tell us a bit more about being a multiple spiritually transformative experiencer. What are STEs? And please offer some examples from your life.
Yes, I'd love to. Well, first of all, spiritually transformative experiences would be things such as seeing ghosts, communicating with spirits, having an experience with Kundalini, out-of-body experience. There's a host of spiritually transformative experiences, including cryptids. Maybe you're camping and you have an experience with fairies or Bigfoot. All of this is considered spiritually transformative experience. So the reason it's transformative, if you see your grandfather at the end of your bed while you're sleeping, and you can see him glowing, but his full body form, and if you have not had an experience prior to then, that would be transformative. That would take you on a spiritual path, most likely, and would change you. So if you're a spiritually transformative experiencer, that means you've had many of these things, and I've had many of these things from early on out-of-body experiences, even as a kid, to astral travel, to quantum travel now. The astral, don't really like it so much. I go into reasons for that. But they're the lower realms. I like going to these cooler places in the quantum. As well as ghosts. I was talking to ghosts that ghosts were around when I was a small child because of my near-death experiences, and really didn't knew them. I didn't know them as a ghost initially. I just knew they were people that seemed very lost. And then they were connected to me like a moth because I had abilities and because they could sense my energy and so forth, and especially having near-death experiences. And then from there, talking to spirit people and to spirit people like our loving relatives, and started doing that at 3 years old, as well as, the list goes on. I've had cryptid experiences. I've seen the rake, which is a white figure that I've seen twice in the backyard. My husband's seen it before too. It's not of this world. It's very odd looking. It's 2-dimensional and tall. Very odd. We thought it was a signpost till it started moving. It was crazy.
You witnessed 2 sets of UFOs in August and October of 2021, a fleet in Asheville, North Carolina, and a mothership in your backyard. What were those sightings like, and how did they make you feel?
First of all, they made me feel super good and alive. It was awesome. I didn't expect it. And it wasn't like, oh, I want to see a UFO. Although, it wasn't like I was against seeing a UFO. I would suppose you'd say I always have been a sci-fi fan. I wouldn't say I'm a crazed, sci-fi fan, but I've always been attracted to that and books like Philip K. Dick and always interested in technology and so forth. So it was my husband and I were going on vacation to Asheville. We live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I find interesting that Dr. Stephen Greer was a cardiologist from Charlotte. He saw his first UFOs in Charlotte and Nashville, and so did I. I thought that was very, not Sedona. No. I mean, or you would imagine, or New Mexico, but in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we're leaving from Charlotte to go to Asheville, which is about a 2.5 hour trip. But for some reason, my husband wants to take the blender. He wants to carry extra food. You would think we're staying in a cabin. You would think that we're there for much longer than we were staying. And so we finally leave with our 2 dogs in the car. We're driving. And I'd say it's about, at this point, it's summertime. So it's dark, it doesn't get dark till 9 p.m. So it's about 7:45 till 8. So it's somewhat it's a little dusk. It's not bright light, but I mean, the light's still out. And he goes, look at that. And over to the left side and his driver's side was, there were 5. It looked like they were in a order, a procession order, and there were white lights and they were saucer shaped. And I looked at it like it was the most normal thing. I was like, wow, would you look at that? It was very odd because he was like, yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it was like so weird. And this isn't really our personality. I mean, we would normally be like every other person and go, oh my gosh, look at that. But we were very calm about it. We're like, yeah, look at that. And then he goes, but look at that. And he pointed by my window and it was a massive, well, I feel now it was a massive craft. I wasn't sure. I thought that was it, a craft, but what it looked like lava or a fireball. And it was by my right window and it was very big. And all I can tell you is the strong feeling I got of intense love. And I didn't feel to take my phone out. I don't know why. I was in the moment. And so we're driving. This went on 7 or 8 minutes. They followed us. And so I talked to them. I told them, and then I started laughing. I said, well, I've been wondering about my ancestry and filled that out. But instead, this is what I'm getting. And I felt a definite, they're my family. Like I just felt they're my family. And I was crying. I was telling them I love them. I was saying, I love you. I love you. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so excited. And I wanted them to land. And so it felt like a reunion. And I know that seems strange and hard to explain, but that's how I felt. And so they eventually they were there and then boom, they weren't there. And so afterwards, we were at the cabin in Asheville for about 4 days. It rained most of the time, except for one day we got out and kind of ventured out with the dogs. But when we came back, I started immediately drawing light codes and I wondered where they were coming from. So I did a lot of research. I'm like, what do they look like? And sure enough, they were very similar to Stephen Greer. His research is Cirrus. They were Cirrus symbols. And so the Cirrus connection comes up again in an activation from a Palladium later on. So there's no doubt in my mind that my last incarnation, I was a blue high official Syrian. There's no doubt in my mind. And so then the second one I saw was 2 months later, and it had just turned dark. It's October because the first one was 2 months before this. It was October, and it was somewhat around the same time, but now it's dark because it's in October. So I'm driving into my driveway, kind of bit of a long driveway. And as I'm pulling in, I see bright lights that are low. I assume it must be a helicopter overhead. I'm driving into my driveway and I stopped to look at it. What are these lights in my yard? There was very bright lights. And as I looked at it, I actually could not comprehend it. I had to stop and talk to myself. And I was like, what am I seeing? And I had to explain it. I said, okay, lights on the bottom. They were exact lights on the bottom. It was a huge mothership, but it was obviously it was filled up my backyard, but it felt like a smaller version, like they made it a smaller version. And they had lights underneath, like blue, red, green, and then up above was a spray of lights. And I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I have to say, it was a full mothership, but they reduced the scale. And I'm looking at it, and the lights were moving. It wasn't just a picture or a thing sent to me. It was literally moving, and it was full color. It was all in these colors. It looked like a whole city might have been in that. That's how huge it was. I couldn't understand how it could fit in my backyard, nor did I expect to see a mothership in my backyard. This went on for about 3 minutes, and I'm just staring at it in the yard going, oh my gosh. So I call my husband from the car and I go, get outside. There's a big ass mothership in the backyard. And he runs out. And as soon as he does, it sucks back. It goes and it just sucks back and it's gone. And honestly, today I still scratch my head like, what in the world was that about? That was amazing. And it felt, at this point now, I feel like it's kind of a tease. I think we were talking earlier pre-show about seeing these unidentified flying objects in the sky. Constantly, I see them almost every night, and there'll be a huge bright star. My husband go, oh, it's a planet. I said, planets do not move ziggy-zaggy and then be far away and then above my house. They just don't do that. And they're constantly doing that. And then, or I'll see blue, red, green, and then they'll spray lights out, and then they'll pulsate, and then they'll move. And so I feel like, quit being a space peeping Tom. I mean, let's just, show yourself. Long as you are a loving race, I'm good with that. Just let's do it. Show me. Quit hovering around and just sneaking in the clouds and expose who you are.
And planets do not give you downloads of light codes and sacred geometry. Tell us about that.
No, they don't, do they? Well, if they do, I need to hang around planets more. Yeah. So, how that happened, I think it all, I always say I'm the accidental spiritual, evolver, but I had right around this time, and I think it is definitely 100% connected. Our consciousness, if we put it forward, like, oh, I'd love to really meet these beings, they know that. So before that, this happened. So let's see, we're looking at, so that was August and then October. So in May, it was at the end of May, 1st of June, I had my first, I didn't mean to, but it was an accidental activation. So this was, I was having it was a, I don't know if you want to call it a healing session. My energy was off, and a friend of mine who's another medium in South Africa said, hey, I have this friend. I know she's in South Africa too. She is, really good with lining up energy. And I'm like, I don't know. I said, does she work with God? She goes, oh, yes. I said, well, okay, I'll give it a go. So she started talking about sacred geometry and doing this thing with me being in the middle of it. And imagine so-and-so, imagine it's these things spinning, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, fine. So I lay down, and then we start this after she kind of set this thing up. And it was different. I mean, it wasn't creepy. It was just different. And so I'm laying there, and she's going through these visualizations. She asked for Metatron, Michael, the Palladians, and then she asked for Christ. I think that was pretty much the first time. And it was just very relaxing. So then it was 8 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks later, I had another one. I said, that was really great. What is that? She goes, it's an activation. She goes, I was told to give the go ahead from her guides. You're ready for it. I was like, well, okay, that was very relaxing. So the second one was really when it kicked in. And then that shortly after I started seeing the UFOs is, and during this time I'm interviewing like well-known people like Craig Campobasso, who wrote the UFO Hotspot Intergalactic Species Almanac, and then Preston Denton, who's written 28 books on UFOs. So this is all going on. This is all new. So on my second activation, which is prior to seeing the UFOs, right before that. So that's May. So now we're in July. I see my first ship in August, as everybody's like, I'm going to sign up for an activation now. I didn't know this was going to become of this. So we do this thing. She explains more all the sacred geometry, where she wants my hand, body, feet in relation to this visualization of being in the sacred geometry. And I'm like, this is way cooler than my math classes. I was like, okay, this is neat. Okay, we'll try it. I'm like a kid. Okay. And so as she walks me through it, when I lay down, that I'll have this, imagery and in my mind to use and plug in when I do this activation. So I'm laying there, we're doing it. She calls in the same people, and then she calls in the Syrians. Those minutes she called in the Syrians, I just got, a spirit zap. It was like wham. And she felt it too. She's like, oh my gosh. And then I saw this beautiful blue being smiling. I went, that's me. I'm blue. And I didn't have hair, and I was beautiful. And I was a mix between the High Council of Arcturian and Syrian. I was an Arcturian Syrian mix. They can mix over there. It's not just one thing. You can get mixtures of things. And so I was this amazing blue being. And then I got a download in that session, and I saw this whole past life. It was beautiful. And this was my last incarnation. And I was really high, to be honest, really high. And we ended off the session. And then when we were done, I noticed in my laptop, because I had it beside me as I was laying down, that as I put my hand in front of that I had this streaming coming off of me. And I noticed that the room was blue, but yet I had golden sunlight from the window coming in. That was the only light source. And I realized the blue was me. And so I put myself on the screen, and I looked in the camera lens of the laptop, and I went, oh my God. I said, is it just me? Or am I like a really light white blue? She goes, no, you're blue. And I said, oh, that is super cool. I said, oh my gosh. And so I glowed blue on 3 other occasions on the screen with her. And that's when I started getting all these downloads, and also from the Syrian nation, and knowing Stargate technology, which I had no idea until I found out later on that was their thing. So that's my thing, Stargate technology. I even channeled that in a book called Masters of Reality by Mark Ferrantino, who's a client and friend. And I channeled all these scientific questions. Okay, so I was more English and history, and so he showed up one time. I guess it was 3 years ago when I was doing a performance at the Southern Women's Show on stage and mediumship, and I had a booth, and so we clocked out an hour, and he asked me. I said, look, I don't know this stuff. Let me go into a trance. So I'm a trance channel. I'm also a conscious channel. So I went into a trance, and all I know at the beginning is he asked me how stars were formed, and I talked about the gaseous elements of the stars and how they're created, which normally I would not know this stuff. And then I don't remember anything. I just went black. I don't remember anything because I'm a trance channel. I can go into that state quick. I don't have to do much. And I think it's because of my near-death experiences, although I wouldn't recommend going that route just to do that. But, and so I told him how to build a Stargate. So he did the research on it, and it checked out. So he wrote his last chapter on how to build a Stargate based off the channeled information at these levels. So I haven't stopped getting information. I guess these days I'm really sad and frustrated that I haven't connected with my family, because I really felt that was my true family, and I feel like I made sense. Like my existence made sense by being just in that presence with the crafts, and the love was so overwhelming. But I'm used to that love from Jesus, that overwhelming love that I felt in the near-death experience. It's the same. It's a really intense love. I don't think people expect that from star beings, but our family, it is. It's so pure and just unedited. And I guess I feel sad because I miss that.
Aren't you glad that our family, you and me, got back together?
I'm so happy.
Because that's who we
So
are.
happy.
That's who we are.
Yeah, I know. That makes
Tell,
me so happy. Fills my heart.
Absolutely, mine too. In terms of the sacred geometry, did that form a Merkaba, the light body?
It did. And I'll tell you what's really cool. I'm gonna tell you this is super cool to me. So hopefully it's cool to the listeners. So okay, so this little happened, right? So I had the accidental activation because I needed my energy lined up, and boy, did I got a lot more than that. Then I started seeing ships. Then I started getting light code. I started speaking multiple languages, which we can go into that later if you want. But so I have a friend, the one from South Africa, said, "Well, we're doing a meditation today. Would you like to be on?" Well, I said, sure. So I didn't realize that it was six of us, but it was going live to like hundreds of people or thousands. I don't know. So I'm sitting there at summer. I have no makeup on. I stick my sunglasses on. Okay. So I didn't realize we were live. Fine. I'm in this thing outside in the meditation. So there's one lady, Suki, and she's Hindu, and she's doing this beautiful musical guided meditation and walking through and relaxing. And then she's saying, look into now go to the galaxy and connect with your family. And what do you meet? Well, I was starting to get high already. I went into a place, it was a chamber of light, and it was sacred geometry. And the elders and the council of light met me. They were just beings of light. And I felt like they were representative of all the higher echelon, and they were there helping do something for my body, cleanse it, purify it, help it in some way. And next thing you know, I'm having in my etheric body, I'm having air blown on me, and I'm getting on a ship. See, they're obsessed with cleanliness. And I've talked to President about this because, yeah, these ships, they love to clean you. My first one, they wanted me to take a shower when I was in the Galactic Federation. But this one, the air was blowing. I'm on the ship. And I'm going down this little hall. They open a couple doors, like you'd imagine sliding doors, like on ships, on crafts. And then I see Astor, and he's got this sacred geometry that's lit up, that's really pretty, and he's handing it to me. And Commander Astor of the Galactic Federation, has shown up in my dreams. He started showing up like 3 years ago, although he's been there all along. He just said, it's time for me to remember. And then behind him was Jesus. Yes, as in Lord Sananda, Jesus Christ, behind him. That's right. And he was smiling really big. So it was like I was getting an honor. And he goes, here you go. And then Jesus, and I looked at it, and he wanted to hand me a Merkaba, right? And Jesus was behind him, and it was like an award. And I said, what do I do with this? He said, well, it transforms energy into whatever you need it to do. I said, so it can heal. And he said, yes. He said it could transform anything to the person's highest good. So I put it in my heart intuitively, and I said, it needs to change my heart to love more. And then I went, oh no, I need to use it to help heal other people. And he said, it's okay because it's infinite. You can use it on yourself and as many people as possible. And then Jesus says, all angels must have their Merkaba. And I said, really? And then they showed me that I could also use it to blow back like an energy blast of light with any like dark ones. I could just go, and it would just push them back, the bright light. I was like, really? That's cool. And he goes, yeah. He said, most people use it for healing. He said, you can use it for travel too, but you've been doing that all along, but this will take you further. I was like, okay. And Astor didn't have a lot of personality. He's pretty serious, but Jesus was like so happy about this. So I come back and to this meditation, they say, does anyone want to share? So a couple of people shared. So I raised my hand. I start sharing this. Well, every time I started talking about being given a Merkaba, first of all, I described it. I didn't even know what a Merkaba was. I had to describe it and how it was moving and rotating on its axis. And they said, yeah, it's a Merkaba. Every time I tried to mention it, it would black out on the sound. So they said, they all started laughing because they're all intuitives and mediums and healers. So they said, just forget about it. They apparently don't want you to tell us right now. So just enjoy the wind. We'll just let that go. So then the video comes back later, the recording. And when I talk about, I'm live, we're all like six little squares like the Brady Bunch. But for some reason, everyone could see me perfectly. And when the recording comes back, when I start talking about that segment, it's blacked out. Like literally the whole screen is blacked out, only on my square. So in the meantime, after that, I have an interview the next day. So I'm doing the interview, and the woman tells me later in the interview she was an abductee, although she's a near-death experiencer. But she said, I've never told anyone because apparently she must have had a bad experience. It was with the Greys, whatever. But the point is, as we're recording, I start getting a transmission. I've gotten this transmission through my computer before. And so I can't wait till I get one with you, Victor. But it started going, like a recording going like hazy, crazy haywire back in those tape days. And then the screen started doing crazy stuff like electrostatic, whatever. And she goes, what's wrong with your computer? But I knew they were giving a transmission to me. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So she goes, edit that out. So she wasn't open to it. There was another lady I was on her show, the same thing happened. And I said, oh my gosh, they're talking to us. And she was completely open. And the transmission came through. So that it sounds like electronics coming through. I know that the Andromedans are working with the ionosphere, with the chemtrails and so forth a lot. So were the Palladians and the Syrians. So, but that's what it sounded like. And anyhow, it's not just in the etheric. I see it in the physical. These things have become physically manifested.
My guest is Tamara Caulder Richardson. Tamara, tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and your amazing work.
Oh, thank you, Victor. Yes, if they want to go to the Academy of DivineWisdom.com, that's academyofdivinewisdom.com, and they can sign up for some free classes, a free Christ-like meditation. I also have paid classes, events coming up, and I have galactic services where they can, if they want to, get starseed readings, activations, past life, Akashic life readings, they can do that. And I'll also have my southernbellmedium.com, and that's Bell with an E. So that's southernbellmedium.com, and they can get a evidential psychic medium reading. And I do this all over the world. I trained extensively, got 8 years with well-known mediums, and do stage work as well. And then I also want to mention, if you don't mind, that I will be a speaker on the Galactic Origins Cruise.com. And if you do register and sign up for that and use my name, Tamara Richardson, as a referral, and there's a place where it shows that, you will get a free 30-minute, $375 reading from me. And anyone you sign up as well in your cabin, they will also get a free 30-minute reading valued $375. So that would be the Galactic Origins Cruise. And I will be speaking on Sirius B, At Sea with Sirius B, and the aquatic life, as well as I'll be doing a workshop on how to recall your past lives on other planets and teaching others to speak their own galactic-like language.
And we'll be back with more of Tamara after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going Om. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week is my star sister, Tamara Caulder Richardson. Tamara, your halo was seen on film when you taught Christ consciousness mediumship at the 2018 Psychic Conference at the Edgar Cayce Center and in 2019 when you spoke at IANS in Charlotte. What did your halo look like, and what was the reaction of those who saw it?
It was more the reaction, how I felt about it. I was a little bit shocked. So when I was first of all, thank you for being here. I just love being with you. Um, the halo at the Edgar Cayce Center when I was teaching at the Psychic Conference in 2018, they have a whole AV department, okay? And so on the stage, which I was, and we had about 200 students, and I was the keynote speaker for the whole day. I had the whole day. It was a full day of mediumship. And again, like you said, Christ focused. So working with him, it was beautiful. And the students were very receptive and terrific. And so as we're doing this, at one point I was doing a medium demonstration. And when I do a medium demonstration, I think I'm a little bit different than many of the others because I go up to the higher realms. And when I do, I encase myself in this divine light. And I do xenoglossy, which is speaking other languages. There was a Cuban lady in the front who knew, and her father came through and spoke Cuban to her. I don't even know how to speak Spanish, except Donde el baño, where's the bathroom? I don't know how to speak Spanish. This is what 4 years of college did. Is really pathetic. But anyhow, she got the message. It was really beautiful. She understood it. And as I'm doing that, I can also do transconfiguration where, say, a beloved grandmother can step forward and their face can be on top of my face. It's something I don't try. I just have, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have more ectoplasm or the right kind of ectoplasm or whatever, but it does have something to do with ectoplasm. And certain mediums do have more natural ability, just like musicians or what have you. They start with that. And I have apparently a lot because I was spirit for a couple hours when I was, dead in my near-death experience. So I really like spirit people. But anyhow, during that time, I even helped cross someone over and showed them how to do it. It was really beautiful. It was just so loving. And afterwards, after we did the whole day, the AV person, they've got an AV department, actually a film department filming you while you're on stage. So the guy came down and he said, I tracked on there a halo followed you. There's only one other person that's spoken here that's like that. And it was some past life regression person. And he said that you have a halo. It stayed with you most of the day. I said, what do you mean? And he goes, and he looked kind of like freaked out a little bit. Okay. So I've seen it before and I actually blew it off. I went, oh, okay. I kind of blew it off. Then it was a year later and I was doing a talk about my near-death experience and about the heavenly realm and how much we're loved. And it was just beautiful. And there were two women that were also talking about their near-death experience. One is a shaman, one's a healer, and they were both beside me. And they were speaking about this too. So the one lady that was beside me, her partner was filming it. Well, I didn't know that with her phone. People do that these days. And afterwards, she came up to us. She goes, look at this. We all had halos. And I mean, they look like a ring, like a gold ring, like an oval, just like you expect, just like you see in those painted images of the medieval times. You're that perfectly round, like a wedding ring. Except for on mine was a little taller. It was about 2 feet. And it was not, theirs was kind of cocked to the side. Mine was perfect alignment and it would move as I talked. It would move with proportion to my head. It has shown up before in the past in pictures. It showed up at a restaurant. It showed up, but I just thought it was a glitch. All these years, I thought it was a glitch. And then after my activations, and then I had I don't know if you want me to go into the past life. It wasn't past. It was an in-between life regression with Dr. Linda Bachman, who's written several books and was a protege and student of Dr. Michael Newton. But it came up that I was an angelic being. I mean, it was pretty intense. I ran, a past life on another planet where I was doing a lot for the Galactic Federation. And then was very detailed, maybe talking about I was a reptilian, but I was an angel trying to turn the Anunnaki race into love, created civil war. But anyway, I tried. And then at the higher levels that we went further and further. Who do you serve? I became intense and I started crying and I missed home and I started yelling out as I serve the one, the source of all, the one that always has been, the only one, and I was like, oh boy, this is kind of intense. And all these angels started coming through and I was like, oh my gosh. And so when we were done with the session, I was like, are you kidding? I'm an angel. And she's like, apparently, big time. And so I was like, well, how do you know, really? And she goes, well, usually you have angels all around. Well, I've got 2 6-foot statues in my yard. I've got angel wings in every single room. I have outfits. I have about at least a dozen, could be more, jackets with wings on them. I've got angel statues everywhere, angel rings, angel jewelry. It's a little, and I said, doesn't everybody? And they're like, no, they don't. They don't do that. And then I went to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't know. I go to the bathroom. Okay. Kind of shaking my head. I come out, put on my jacket. It's a little white hoodie. And on the back of it, or the entire back of it, is rhinestone angel wings. And I'm like, that is just a coincidence.
Tamara, you're a starseed. I'm a starseed. What is a starseed?
Yes. Okay. So I'll tell you what I feel a starseed is. That is a human now that recalls it's usually their last incarnation. However, I have run almost 400 hours of past lives, and most were not on this planet. I've seen Arcturian, being in a pyramid, working with the elements, creating an energy vortex. I've seen being reptilian. I've seen being it looks like a jellyfish type octopus thing that was part of the universe that had this expanded larger consciousness. That was amazing feeling with that. That was pretty powerful. But yeah, I remember being different things. And I think these are people now that we call it activating, but that you could be walking along and then boom, something trigger you in your DNA, because we are a part of something bigger. I believe that is our family. And we are a combination of many things. So when we do our ancestry and we look at, okay, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of, Nigeria, a little bit of Japanese. I mean, honestly, we all have different things that line up, but that junk DNA down below, that's our star family. And it's an emotional thing that we feel too. So it's a recognition and a remembrance of our, you can say past lives if you want to, on other planets, and our connection to ultra dimensionals or ETs, and I guess to define that, ETs or aliens, if you want to call that, would be more the physical, like the grays, whereas ultra dimensionals, they were more in a celestial format. We're at a lower density realm with our eyes. We couldn't see it. Now in our astral or our when we're quantum traveling, we can, but it's our connection to other planets, and there's an innate love we have that we feel, and we also recognize one another. This is something that's the people that are awakened, and as they awake and the unfoldment happens, they get more layers taken off like an onion, another layer. They recognize each other. We have this it's something you can't explain, but you know it, and we are coming together because it's necessary to help rebuild this world into one of love. Because the way it's going now, it is a slave planet. We will be destroyed. And we know that it's our spiritual journey as spiritual warriors and those to bring understanding and wisdom and love.
And how many listeners, you knew how you became a starseed, or you were a starseed. I recognized how I was a starseed. And I believe also, as you shared, that we're volunteers here. Our souls volunteered to come here at this time because we have a service to perform for our brothers and sisters in humanity, and also our brother and sister starseeds. How many listeners determine if they are starseeds?
Honestly, I have them on my Seeking Heaven channel on YouTube. If you just type in at Seeking Heaven channel, you'll see it and you'll scroll down. I've got several things on how to determine and the traits if you're a starseed. It's free. You can just look at it. I've got several things. And also to find out which starseeds, what are your superpowers? I've got that in there too. It's all free. You can check that out. But there's a series of things. I can name a couple, but it's more involved. If you want to like do the test on that, people really like it. But for me, I would say if you have an attraction to sci-fi, right? Do you take an interest? I mean, I always loved as a kid looking at these old Twilight Zone episodes with the head space things or Star Trek or any of these. So some kind of connection to science fiction, like hovercrafts. I'm very upset we don't have a hovercraft here. I've been upset as a kid. And I did. It's true. I'm being honest, and funny because I ran a past life where I was a man, blonde haired at the time. I had a different, funny looking suit, and I designed one of the hovercraft models. And I worked with the engineers, but I designed the look of it, and they were interested in getting as much speed as I could, which took away they wanted aerodynamics and speed, and they took away some of the way it looked to make it ugly, and that upset me. And so now I'm like really upset where these hovercrafts are. Yeah, because I was part of a design team that designed them. It's funny. But that have maybe past life memory on other planets they can't explain, or they can get it in not necessarily a dream, but it could be they watch a movie and they go, wait a minute, I remember that planet where they had a pink sky, and or they have a connection when they see certain races. They go, wow, I feel connected to them. Most people that are intuitives or healers, any kind of sensitivity or intuitive, you can almost guarantee you're a starseed because that's our natural. That's all. We all operate in this way. Some may choose to use it in the healing field with hands or source energy working through them. Others may use it with healing messages. Then there are others, and I think we can do some of the higher level starseeds can do all of these things. But I believe like Victor, like your voice is an activation. It has code in it. But then again, when I'm around people, I activate them. And if I say a couple of things to them, they're on their way. That's why usually when I read people, I guess it sucks for me. I read some people 2 or 3 times because their life changes so much and they're very advanced, and and each time is different. It's always different. But some people that are newbies, they'll get enough information. They're just happy as a clam, and they just go on their way. They don't need any more because it sets them on their path. So we're also acting as our presence is activation. So notice if you're around people and people are changed for the better.
Yeah.
By that. So there's various ways you can detect if you're a starseed.
My guest is Tamara Caulder Richardson. We'll be back with more after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
If I could be you.
And you could be me.
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hi, this is Bill Maher. I can find humor in almost anything, but one thing I never laugh about is cruelty to animals. If you don't get the joke either, write People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, 501 Front Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23510.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week is my star sister, Tamara Caulder Richardson. Tamara, what is a galactic person, and what does it mean to be galactic?
Oh, wow. I love that question. Well, first of all, thank you for being back. You know, I just adore you, Victor. I met you and I knew we were related. We even have the same eyes.
Absolutely.
It's very sweet. It's very nice to know, it's a warm-hearted feeling to know there are others like you out there and working as hard to be of service to others. So galactic, what is it to be galactic? Well, I'm going to tell you, I can only answer for what I think that is. That came to me, and I love these things that come as dreams. Many of our star family come to us in dreams to not be off-putting and to not frighten us. So I guess it was realistically, it was 4 years ago. And I had this dream, and I woke up. I'm like, this didn't feel like a dream. It was way too detailed. I've remembered it like my India. It's one of those things that just went through my whole body. And what it was is I was on the Galactic Federation, but that's not how it came across. I remember in this dream, and this will explain the word galactic. I was in this dream, but I remember being awake at the same time. And I went, wow, and it takes off here. I'm really high up. I've never been this high before. Look at this. And I first got the feeling I was at like on a needle spindle, kind of like the one in Portland, Seattle, but it wasn't. That's what the window looked like, a dome. And I'm looking out, and then I notice I'm not in a restaurant on a needle. I'm in a craft, and I'm looking and seeing these massive ships come out of this mothership. And then I look around and I'm seeing everyone in these little jumpsuits. They're white jumpsuits. Now there's some that have different colors that are navy, but they're in these little jumpsuits with notched collar. Now the person I was talking to, he had his hair parted in the middle, and it seemed like he had wide, far apart eyes, and they looked green to me. And he was a bit serious. He kind of had a square jaw. He looked very Swedish. He looked like he would be in the band ABBA because his hair was kind of to his shoulders, slick behind, kind of cheesy Euro. I would never tell him that, but anyway, they hear all your thoughts anyway, so they probably knew that. But he had on, it looked like a colonel. He had on a notched collar, but then he had an emblem on he was wearing it at the time. It wasn't navy. It was like a dark gray. And then he had on gold trim. And so, but it looked like a business suit as well. And I said, well, where are we going? And he said, I want to show you something. And so we began to look at the ship, the propulsion of the ship. And in the middle of what you would consider the cockpit or the officer's place where they navigate the ship, the people around were doing like holographic. They would just pull up a holographic keyboard, or if you want to call it that, or a screen, and they would enter stuff in, just like you would see in the movies. It was just like that. But then in the middle, they had this white glowy thing that was going up through the ship at the top of it, and it was active in energy, and for some reason it was powerful, but then it wouldn't really hurt anybody. So it was just kind of right there. He said our biochemistry is blended with this. So he was saying that they're navigating through their consciousness through the ship, that the ship is part of them. I was like, okay, I didn't fully understand that. And he said, let's walk. So I started following him, and I felt very welcome there. I felt like an honored guest. And we go to this one door, and he waves his hand, and a door opened. So when this door opened up, it looked like Shangri-La, and we start walking, and he looked very more serious. And I said, so I guess we're all talking telepathy, mind to mind. I said, so I guess you want to talk about the state of humanity, and you're concerned we don't blow each other up. And he did not laugh. And I said, okay, I'll listen. And he began telling me, and actually earlier when I was there, I said, I'm very high up. I said, it's time for you to know who you are. And he began telling me that I have signed up eons for eons. Okay, eons is not just this planet. Eons is other planets. That I have been an officer of and an ambassador of the Galactic Federation for eons. For eons. And he said, you need to remember who you are. It's time. The time is drawing near. And I said, well, what do you want? He said, as we do with all of our ambassadors, we want you to remember it's about time you come together. And so we talked, we came out of there, and then he showed me the rest of the ship. And then toward the end, he had to go and do business. He meets with different planets and different delegates. And so there was a woman, a tall, blue, Syrian Octurian looking being. I kind of feel like they were Arcturian because they're a little bit more purple, and they were long, kind of quiet. And they said, come this way. So we go down this hall. It gets less fancy. The hall was open on the top and to the side. And as we go around this curved hall, there was a door that opened, and they kind of gesture, go in here. So I go in there, and there was a little teeny Asian looking being, but it had bigger eyes but friendly, but it looked Asian and short, but more stocky, and told me, mind to mind, do you want to take a shower? I said, no, I don't want to take a shower. He said, no, it'd make you feel better. I'm like, no, I really don't need that. And they're like, go take a shower. It'd be really great. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're really insistent on these showers. So I took a shower, and then they had a towel. It seemed like a process, like they just put people through, like they were not interested. And so after being on the Galactic Federation, I understand that galactic is being galactic would be someone who has been a part of the Galactic Federation for eons, like they were told. And many of us are remembering that we are part of that federation, which is the federation or confederation of planets or planetary systems. And we remember that. So when you're galactic, you don't think just of Earth, you think of all the planets and working in brotherly love under the law of one.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You are going to be a featured presenter on the Galactic Origins Cruise Seminar at Sea coming up this December. What will you be sharing and teaching? And tell us more about this, please.
Well, thank you, Victor. I'm super excited to be a keynote speaker for the Galactic Origins Cruise, which is the first venture of Portal to Ascension and Divine Travels. Now we're taking this starseed fun into the ocean, which I love the ocean. I'll be speaking a couple different times, and one of the times I'll be talking I'll be giving a 90-minute presentation on At Sea with Sirius B, and we're going to go into the during that particular presentation, which I like all of mine to be interactive. I'll be talking about the aquatic life and about aquarians. And about we were fish people. I don't know how you say that, and why people are attracted still to ocean and whales and dolphins and the star seeds that are attracted to that, such as Palladian. So we're going to talk about that and our incarnations in Lemurian Atlantis. And I'm going to give some beautiful, strong visuals on that too. And I'm excited. And then I'm going to be able to workshop on how to remember which planet you last came from. And that's going to be fun and interactive. I'm going to have the students break off. It's going to be a blast. I like to have fun in this way with my students. And then I'm going to teach everyone how to speak light language so they can walk away and that alone will be an activation. And then that's the two that I know of so far, which I'm super excited about. And if they use my name, Tamara Richardson, when they register for the galacticorigins.cruise.com, when they register for that, if they mention my name, Tamara Richardson, they get a free 30-minute, $325 or $375 reading value just for using my name. And if they have someone in their cabin, they add to it. They also get a free 30-minute reading session. They can use it for a psychic medium. They can use it for an activation. They can use it for past life, however way they want to use it.
That is so wonderful of you. And one more time, please share with our listeners your website.
Yes, thank you, Victor. It is the Academy of DivineWisdom.com, and that is my school. And they can also buy Starseed sessions there, as well as there's free classes such as a Christ-like meditation. I have how to channel divine wisdom. I have some free courses and paid courses, and they can also check me out at southernbellmedium.com, and that's Bell, Bele, southernbellmedium.com if they're interested in evidential psychic medium, which I'm highly trained evidential medium. I'm also a trancing conscious channel, and sometimes I will channel in my sessions. And as well, they can check me out on YouTube at the Seeking Heaven channel, which you have a couple episodes on there.
Absolutely. My dear sister Tamara, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and your experience, your amazing experiences with us. And I love you.
I love you too, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Destination Unlimited. I'm Victor, the Voice Furman. Have a wonderful week.